Hi everyone, welcome to the 30th webinar in 12D's training webinar series. My name is Lisa Stewart and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator here at 12D Solutions. 12D's training webinars showcase common industry challenges, taking a close look at industry best practices and how these can be implemented using 12D model software. The aim of these webinars is to upskill 12D model users and broaden their understanding of the capabilities of 12D model. We run these webinars regularly and record them for posting through our website and on YouTube. The first 29 webinars from this training series, as well as the 27 webinars from our Industry Solutions series, are available on our YouTube channels if you missed those. During this live presentation, you'll be able to type your questions along the way, as shown on the screen, and we'll answer as many as possible throughout the webinar. Today's webinar, 12D Field Customization, will be presented by Graham Worth, who is Product Sales and Marketing Manager for 12D Field, with responsibility for management, development and channel creation of 12D Field services and products. Graham has 35 years of experience in the civil construction industry and a wealth of knowledge of 12D model and other software packages. Today's webinar will form part 2 of our customization series for 12D Field. Settings and layouts will be explained to maximize efficiency and output for users. We'll focus on screen layouts, navigation settings, information settings, and additional user-defined panel terminology. Over to you, Graham.
Thanks, Lisa. Good afternoon, everybody. So we're running through and creating a new model here, and it's just a startup. And the first thing I'm going to do this afternoon is show some of the newer features that have been introduced into 12 to actually assist users with tablet usage. The purpose of a tablet in the long term is to move right away from the use of a pen, if we can possibly create it, and this these settings that I'm about to show will actually improve your usage. As you can see, I've got a very high definition screen here, so I'll just finish this, and it's always an issue to actually create the views and so forth. So here I've just got a brand new view. I've just opened it up, and what I'll do is I'll jump into the management and into the environment area. We have a new feature in 12 that many are not familiar with at this stage. Underneath the GUI, we have a sizing option here, and this is, as you can see, these menus are very, very tiny on this screen, and on tablets we also have the issue of that as well. So I'm going to just upscale these, the main menu font to 175%, and also do the toolbars so that we can actually utilize our fingers on the toolbars and on the plan view and other view toolbars as well. So I'll do those to 200. And the view buttons, which I was just talking about, we'll do those to just 150 at this stage. And I can write that away. We can either write it to our current folder, or you can actually put it into your user folder, depending on how you have your project set up. And we finish that, and then we'll just restart this project. And please note the size of these menus up the top here are very small at the moment, and our buttons. And so when I restart this project, we'll see a much more user-friendly layout for tablets, and instantaneously we see that the menu items have come up to a size that is user-friendly, particularly on tablets. This is a very important thing as computers become, particularly screens, become more intense in their quality. We need to actually create sizes that are suitable for our fingers and so forth. So this is just loading up now, and it's setting up my current workspace. So here we've got a new layout, and we've got the the screens and the icons, and everything is now in a much more user-friendly size. The other thing that we also have in 12D field is actually we can, with our views, we have here just one plan view as we're starting up here. So if I just start up 12D field in this case and utilize just the current project, I'm going to actually go straight into the settings menu here, and in the top of the settings menu there's a create 12D field views. Some are familiar with this, some are not. What this does is it actually creates and sets up all your views for you within 12D field. So it's now running through, and we have the views actually all set up and ready to go. So I'll just minimize these, and we can actually go down to the very first one, which is the 12D pickup section view, and we also go back into the settings and just have a look at those views now as they are set up. So here we've got our original view, plan 1, has been adopted as our plan view for our station positions, and our cross sections are all filled out with our new views that we've just created down the bottom there. So the perspective view is set up with the perspective view. The navigation plans are set up as they should be, with a nice scaling and text style in there, and also the tunnel plan is set up with that if you wish as well. So that's how to actually get the views nicely set up. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to quickly bring in some data to load into this view here, and I'll just go into here and we'll just bring in this demo data here, which is and read that in. So it's quite a large amount of data, but as 12D does, it reads it quite well, and it's brought in that through that data input view. So I'm just going to switch that off, and we'll increase this view here to the full size and turn on these different areas here. So I'm just going to bring in some strings and add those in, and I'll add in the survey data as well. And add that in there. So now we've got a full project in here. You can see we've got the details and and everything set up for that as well. We've got 12D field running here, and we've got some hotkeys on the sides, and they can be positioned to suit your needs and so forth, allowing you to manage these. I've also got a new function here, which is I could run into this if we have time today, that allows for our topmost buttons, which are normally placed under the management, and we've got these topmost buttons down here which turn on the topmost buttons up in the top left hand corner there of the screen. And I'll just quickly bring that down because it's being hidden on my screen by this webinar information, so I'll just bring it in so that it's in a much better format for me. So yes, we've got these topmost buttons up the top here with everything as well. So we also have, we can actually have a toggle button now for this topmost button. So I'm now just demonstrating how they can be, in this area here, they can be turned off and on just through a hotkey button as well. So that's the setting up of your icons. Your menu sizes now are to a size that's you're capable of managing your fingers, and also the menus themselves have increased in size, which allows you to manage those much better with your finger. The next thing I'd like to actually show in 12D Field is there's an option that's been here for quite some time, but not a lot of people have been using it. And I think with coming up in version 14, we've actually done some improvements on this side of it. So I'll just go into the 4D environment here, and if we go under the GUI again, you've actually got in the area here, you've actually got the ability to see the on-screen keyboard. So we actually have an on-screen keyboard that allows you to either have a no keyboard, a dockable keyboard, so it can be moved around the screen, or a full screen keyboard as well. You can have the options for the keyboard is also the a full keyboard or just a straight numeric, and you can also manage the font size, and this is depending on your screen's intensity. That's it's quite a good feature. Normally on a tablet, down the bottom you have your standard keyboard that pops up when you tap that button at the bottom, but with the 12D keyboard, it allows you to run through and manage that within 12D itself. It's built for 12D to be fired up. And if I just bring in here and I tap in here, it comes up with a keyboard, and you've also got an indication of what you're typing into the box in the panel in 12D. And so if you type in there, you've got all the different items coming up in this area in the top up here. It's for the input to that. So this is a nice keyboard, and once you hit the enter button, it actually places that into the keyboard, into the area there. So that's the 12D keyboard, and there's various options with that for as I said, with the dockable option and so forth. And the area up the top is very handy to actually see what you're typing in. So it's a good alternative for this keyboard that comes with your normal tablets or Windows in the area of the screen. So the next item I'd like to actually go through it with sort of managing 12D is a new thing that's coming into version 12 is a view control. So you've got this option here that allows you with the views, you've got the ability to actually grab the view as normal with your little arrow once you manage to get your pen or your finger on the edge. But with a tablet, it can be quite difficult to actually grab an area and move that screen and change its size. But what we've actually put into 12D now is this view control button, and as you can see, it's got a layout here. It'll go full screen. If I just tap in the center there, you can see that's going to a maximizing area, and here making it smaller, I can actually minimize that down and so forth. We can actually bring this in, and as I bring that in, you can see it's actually coming in from the edge, and we can also do the up from the bottom, and we can also do in the in a diagonal fashion as well. So this really does empower you without a keyboard, without a mouse on a tablet, to actually manage the views quite well, enabling you to adjust them and set them up as you like in the field, because it's nice to actually be able to run through and just to be able to quickly manage that with basically a one button pick. So that's the views and so forth. The next items I'd like to actually go through is in the under the settings menu. We didn't touch on this last time very much, but we've got this ability here to actually change our pole size and our prism size. So here I'm just going to change this to we'll just get it down to something small and show it first, and we've just put a 10 and a 5 and a cross area of 10 as well there. So I can finish that. And when I actually set up 12D and start up a station here, I'm just going to pick a station close by here. We've got 19, and I'll just give that a pole height of 1. And we'll go to a backside of, pick 17 over there, set up. Oops, if you pick the point, Chrome, pick that, and I'll go to 1 there. And the, actually 1.5. And we've got our simulator settings, as you do with when we don't have an instrument connected, to actually bring that in there. So let me just bring that in and pan that across, get this set up properly. That's better. So you can see now we've got quite a small cross in here. If I'm just highlighting that area there, and I'll just bring that, set up this simulator. And we want to set the base point for the simulator as survey control 19, and accept that by tapping the information panel, and want a horizontal angle to station 17, and we'll tap that in there as well. And so now we've set up that. Once we take a measurement, so we're setting 19 as the station, backsiding to 17, and take a single measurement, we should get a pretty decent misclose, which we have there, 0, 0, 0. You can't get much better than that. It allows you to actually and set that and hide that as well, so that we're now set up with an instrument. So here we've got this cross at a reasonable size, and if I just finish that and move the instrument by, we have this positioning of the TPS, which is a very handy tool. So you can actually walk out in the field and say, look, I'm standing on the corner of that block there, and the instrument will move over to it. The settings for the prism and the size of the prism. So if I just take a basic pickup here and take a measurement, for instance, when you see that, you can see that there's a very little pole size there, as I've put it down at 5 mils. So if I finish that and I go back into the settings here, we can actually change this prism size here, and I'll change that to 25, and a planned pole size, we'll make that 35, which is nice length, and I'll do a cross that's quite large because I've got older eyes, and finish that. And so as when I go back into the basic pickup and take a measurement now, you can see that the pole is much larger and the cross is much larger. So you can actually manage how you see the position of your field position is at the time of the shot. We can go back in and continually change that. I'm finishing and starting up this because it reads this file as we go. So if I change this now to say 50 mil pole side, that'll just increase it to look a bit more realistic, shall we say. And once we go into there, I'll just go back to a basic pickup, take a measurement, and you can actually see the pole size in a nice location there now, and it allows you to visualize that. Even as you zoom in and out, it still maintains that screen size, so you can find yourself quite easily in that area there. So that's the pole and the cross size. I'd like to actually go into a couple more settings that we missed at our last presentation. The next is you can actually set up under your settings menu, under the general GUI, you've got the ability here to actually manage the sound, so that we've got a few set up here in version 12. Sounds for storing a point, store previous stored point is close to the previous, so that warning you get if you're taking a shot over the same point. exit the measurement, receiving a measure, losing lock and gaining lock, and a resection measurement has been completed. So you can actually choose these, and they are basically you can see from the top here, a WAV file, WAV file, and there's many of those within Windows, but there's also some that are actually within the certain industries and places you can actually pick these up from. And I'll just demonstrate one here. So I've got some under the 12, under extra, got some sounds here and I'll just pick one here for stake point, for instance. And we'll do another one for receive the measure. That'll be actually the same. So you can utilize any WAV file that you wish for these as well. So under extra, sounds, and I'll use stake point there as well. So I've got two the same, but as I said, you can utilize these wherever you like. So that when you, I'll just turn the sound up here so that it's a little bit high. It's hard to envisage what it's going to come out like until you actually test it. And I don't want to blast everybody's ears off, but under the basic pickup again, when I take a measurement there, you get the sound that comes through, and this can be, as I said, any sounds that you like within the WAV file format. And I'll just quickly remove that again because it becomes a little annoying when you're trying to listen to what I'm saying, but the sounds are coming in the background. So to turn those off, you basically just delete them out of the file and delete them out of the settings, I should say, and then hit the finish button, and they've gone for the moment. The next thing I'd like to actually show in the settings menu, and I'll just pan over to here, and we've got this station set up, is when you're picking your strings for setting out within 12D, it can be, when you get into the likes of the crossfall, setting out a crossfall, there's a lot of strings to be selected, and underneath the settings you also have the ability to do an auto select. So underneath Survey GUI you've got and general, you've got the ability to add in the message bars. And just Survey GUI, auto select strings, survey. Here we go. Auto pick the general, just Survey GUI strings. Sorry, it was under there. You've got this option here under Survey GUI strings to actually auto select the strings. So if I tick this box on here, it allows me to actually, I can auto select the reference string if I want, but I'll leave that off for the moment and just show the others. We've finished that, so it's now writing that away, and it's expecting to actually pick the strings. When you're normally picking strings in, for instance, in crossfall setout, as you can see there, we've got some old strings on there from another project. You can actually, you've got the control string, the setout string, the first level string, and the second level string that you've actually got to pick. And normally you would go to the pick button on the side, pick the string, and so forth. So in this case, it is now just expecting you to, the setout string will use the curb lip on the left-hand side, and it's now looking for the setout string, and I'm going to actually go back to the crown of that road. So that's now actually picked all the strings with just the picking method rather than actually going through it. And I'll demonstrate that again through the older method to show you the difference in the speed it is in managing that. So if I turn off that auto select string again here, and I go back into the crossfold setout, and we pick the strings here, I have to go, I want the center line string for that, and then I have to pick the setout string, and then I have to pick the string that I want to level off and the other string that I want to level off as well, so that you've got to pick that's almost a halved number of selections that you have to do with this option. I'll just demonstrate that once more. So it's into settings. You've got the survey GUI in strings, and it's got the auto select strings. And that works for all the panels for selecting the strings and so forth. So if I just run through that again there now, crossfold setout, and again we've got the strings, and if I pick the first one, it just jumps straight in, and then it goes straight to the setout string and the two level strings for the levels, and they're all selected as you go through. A very handy tool for those out in the field who don't want to have to press too many buttons as you go through. So you've got that option in there as well, which is a very nice feature actually for picking it up. A word of warning though, you do have to understand what is required to be selected, otherwise you could end up selecting a lot of different things. So you just got to be aware of the sequence: control string, setout string, first level string, second level string, as you that it will be the sequence that you run through. If I was running a reference string there again, and I had under the settings, the survey GUI strings again, if I had the auto select the reference string ticked, it would also jump through all of these and then expect me to apply or pick a reference string to go with that as well. So I'll finish that now. The next item on the settings menu is you've also got under the survey tab, you've also got the ability to auto set 0 offsets and auto set 0 chainages, so that when you open up a panel, it will actually jump through those, jump to 0, 0 for chainage and offset. So that normally with the panels in 12D field, they do, for the purposes of continuous work or coming back to the same area that you worked in previously, they remember everything that you had set in them, which is a very nice feature, of course. But in some cases, you don't want that to occur. You'd like to start at a new 0 chainage and so new offset as well. The next item that we didn't show last time is actually this auto turn option, which is great if you're actually not in a one-man situation where you have an instrument locked onto you. This is quite fraught with danger if you're locked on, because it will drive the instrument to the setout point. So in this case, I'll just show you here what it is. I've got it set here for 3D, and what it'll do is, as I finish that and I go into a chainage, and here we've got this road, and I'll just do a quick single string setout in this road here, and I'll pick the strings for this road. So we're setting out the center line of that road, and I want to do an offset to the lip of the gutter on that side, and I'm going to actually setting out a string. We also have, as you're probably aware, we also have the option to do closest to the chainage and closest to the center line, so you can actually utilize the center line. And we're going to set out chainage 40, And you can see the instrument will turn to hit chainage 40. And then if I go to a -3 offset, it actually goes straight to that position there. So you've got the ability to set out and drive the instrument to the point from just typing in your chainage and offset. Really nice feature, unless you are in a one-man situation and you have the instrument locked onto your pole, and then it'll break the lock and run through that as well. The next item I'd like to actually show is in the background. We have the under 12D. I'll just run into it, version 12. I've got it in the customization area for me. Under our user, and we've got the ability to manage the tab keys. I showed this briefly at our last presentation, but it was not a lot of time was actually put into that. So I'd just like to actually show that. Where is it? The tab keys. Just running in here. Information. Sometimes these are difficult to find. I'll come back to that. I'll just run into that in a sec, and we'll run through to the hotkey images, which is the next item I had on the list. So under the hotkey bars here, I've had a lot of people who have asked me, how is it best to actually set up these hotkeys in 12D? And so here I've got a list of the hotkey bars. Some of the ones that I've got set up here, measurement vertical. And we've got our command for the hotkey, which is increment chainage in this case that I've highlighted there. The hover message, so that as you hover over it, like in all 12D, you have your hover message that I'm showing up here over these ones. You've got those messages. This is the same message on the hotkey bars. And then the last item in this set here is the image. So it's a TDF increment chainage bitmap, and this allows you to set up. And this is your hotkey title, so that when we actually go to our hotkeys, we can actually look at the title. So if I just jump in here and bring up these hotkeys, we've got the hotkeys in different sizes. These are set to a size that's very suitable for me within 12D, but others like them to be smaller. Obviously, the smaller they are, the more you can actually fit on the page. And when you go to your settings, you can actually turn those off and on. So if you go under the Survey GUI and you've got this hotkey tabs, we've got here the vertical measure on this side. I've got two measure ones on side, which is a bit of an overkill, but you never know which hand you want to actually press the measure button with. We've got the string number down here, so you've got string plus and minus, and I've got Setout, which has got all your functions on here as well. The thing that's important about these bars too is that the image controls the size of the bar. Last of all, we've got the horizontal down the bottom here with the Leica search. So if I wanted to actually increase the size of these, it's a simple matter of actually jumping straight into our user directory, which is where we store the images. And the reason we store these images in the user directory is because when you reload a new version of 12D, the images, the standard images that come with 12D are updated. So if you've done any adjustments like we're about to do with an image for 12D field, storing them all within the user directory, they are the first that the program looks for. And down the bottom here, we've actually got these images that we've got set up in this this area here. So in here, I've got the point set out. So when I look at this here, the point set out is this one here. You can actually see the hover message is coming up, and then we press the button and point set out starts up. So you've got this point set out here. So I'm actually going to change the size of that image and therefore increase the entire size of the hotkey bar, shall we say. So if I open this with paint, and we'll go into a area here, and you can actually see there's the image, and we've got this resize button in paint. We always work in 12D in pixels, so I'm actually going to create that. It's set at 80 by 80. I'm just going to increase it by 20% to 100 by 100. And you'll see that it is actually running, because I've got this box ticked down here, maintain the aspect ratio. It allows you to actually only have to adjust one item. So that's now increased that, and I'll save that image there, and we can finish that. So that's now quite large compared to the other ones. You can see here and here they're quite large. So I've actually changed the single string set out. So we'll finish that there. And if I turn off the, just finish that and start it up again. Got the settings menu here. Go to Survey GUI, the hotkeys, and I want to do the set out one, and I'll just pick up that set out again. Now you can see all the hotkeys have been increased over here. You can see on this left hand side here, all the hotkey buttons are actually increased relative to the size of the largest image. So that allows you to actually, if you want to quickly upgrade it, if somebody's given you a set, or you can change all the images so that they sit nicely in there. But this allows you to actually manage the size of your buttons on the screen there as well. So that's a setting up the images. I won't rush back and change that. I'll leave it for the moment. But that allows you to, for me, that I can pick that, and it gives me a much better size for my thumb on the edge of my tablet. The next area that we didn't cover too greatly within the last series was under setup. You've got your full details here of your storage for doing basic pickup and so forth, and storing strings as you go through. But these descriptions, you've got the ability to manage these from lists, and they're just basically set in the background, and it allows you to. I just dunk into C drive 12D again. I shouldn't have shut that down, but I did. 12 customization survey user, and under the user. So under the user directory, which is where most of our project standard background files are kept, you have the information for setting these up. And here I've got the categories, so you can actually add, delete. Here I might just under the category just delete all of those, and put in here that the only one that we'll need today is that we're doing a demo today. So that's now saved that file. Let's save that, and I can go into the description. So all the different descriptions that you have, open that up, and I might take out some of these lighter ones in here, delete those, and we'll put in here survey today, or you can have any description that you like. With this, you could have that we're in chainage 100 to 200, so it's a straight text we're picking up in that area for there. We could save that as well. Save that, and then you've also got your lot numbers, and this is very handy on a lot of different roads, and we'll just get rid of those for the moment. And we could be having a lot here of lot 54, like car 54, where are you? And we can save that in there as well. So that when you actually finish this, and we can finish that again and finish that and start that up again. But now that we've got these new lists, we've now got the additions that I had in there, that like the survey today, lot 54, and demo today as our category. So you've got the ability to manage those as well. Another point while I'm here on this is you can actually see, because I've started a job on here and I'm using this prefix, I've actually got the names from the part of the pre and post, and it's locked. The purpose of that lock is so that the user doesn't inadvertently change the backup file during the survey. With the IDs down the bottom here, you've also got, for those that are unaware, you've got the ability to actually have the same on each shot. You can increment on record, so that as you record it'll jump up to the next. And of course, when you do increment on record, you must remember that this allows for, you must have, if you want to do 999 shots, you would have to do 001 for that as well. You've also got the nice feature of being able to have a point ID reference to the chainage that you're setting at, or reference to the chainage and offset. So it allows for good management of pickups as well. So that's the categories and everything else. So the last from the settings menu that I'd actually like to show today is one that we haven't touched on before. Is, so if I just go to a panel here for let's say single string Setout, and I'll just, we've seen we've got this instrument set up here, and I'll just move this instrument back to by positioning it, move it back to close to the center line, and we'll be in here. So we're set up there, and finish that and take a measurement there. So we've got the pole height comes up, and we can actually see that we're setting out chainage 40, and it allows us to manage that as well. So we've got that position there for the pole height, and you can see that the cross actually deletes so that you can see close to where you're actually setting out. But with this here, we've never actually touched on the info page. We can see from the information we have under the navigation, and I can bring that navigation up and just quickly highlight that, and I'll go Windows tile vertically and fit that into there. So that we've got all this information that we've running with the navigation page. But for those that are not aware, there's also another area of information that you can actually bring up. So here under the info page, you can set up any information that you wish with this. This is quite small at the moment, but one of the things under the settings menu as well is you've got the ability for your under your general, you can actually change this font size in here to say we'll change it to 35 to increase that size for the info page font size, so that you've got the ability to manage that. And I'll hit the info down, minus down. And so now that I've brought that up, it's now at a much larger size. You can actually set up that. The information is, you can actually set that up so that you can bring it across, and you can also widen that out so that it actually sits there quite nicely, so that when I close that down and bring that back up again, it maintains its size as we had hoped. And again, I can bring that down. This is something that has been recently brought in so that all the panels remember their sizes to allow you to maintain a nice, comfortable position. So here we've got, you can have many different things. And if we go to the the user directory again of 12D under the 12, keep closing that down, under the user directory here, and we go to the info page. It is very similar to the setting up of the nav page. Here we go, the info page, and you've got all the information with typically your 1 is on, 0 is off, and you can actually see there that we've got single string, and you can see what I've got set on there. I've got, give me the delta Z, the Setout raw chainage, the reference string difference in offset, reference string difference in Z, the string control string name, and so forth. And that is all the amount of information that is within that is quite large, and the options you can have. So you can have a very simple navigation page if you wish, whereas mine is quite complex in this situation. I'll just minimize that down and this down again. In this situation, I've got quite a lot in there, but you may want to actually have a larger view and a smaller info page. And you've also got the navigation information down the bottom here, which is the same as the navigation here in this page. But then you only want to actually bring up information as you require it, just to minimize the effect of information being shown to you on the screen. So that allows you to manage that. So that's just a brief overview of some of the features that I haven't covered previously. I hope that's a help to everybody out there in the survey world. What I'd also like to actually show today is something that has been just recently brought in to 12D. It'll be in release C1J. We wanted to actually improve the measurement rounds details. So I'm just going to quickly go over this. This is a beta, and it's being worked on this week by our programmers, and improving dramatically. I'm actually very excited about this. This is measurement rounds, and you can see here that for those that are familiar with measurement rounds, it used to pop up with your readings and so forth. Now we've actually got 3 tabs up there, and it's been improved to actually show the user, and to make the user experience much more informative user experience. So you've got here, I'll just read in this. What we've got in the first page here in the setup is the number of rounds which you had in the old. But we've also put in here the smallest angle either side of 0 or 180, so that least squares, as you're all aware, is not a good option for flat line traversing. So if you've got a 180 degree bearing between your backside and your foresight, least squares doesn't like that. It's not meant to do that sort of traversing. That's more if your bowditch. We've also actually got put in here now a maximum mean distance difference, so that if you've got any difference errors, we can actually see those highlighted, so you can actually set these yourself. We've also got a maximum angle difference, so that you can actually see those as well. A ground control, so because you're required to have 2 known points to start off. And then if you're, as most people do these days, do a rough pickup of an area with GPS and then go in with the total station and do the full measurement rounds, or measurement of all your angles and distances and so forth. The initial model helps the least squares actually just give it a bit of a location. And then we've also included in this a new option called review the model, so that you can actually review your least squares adjustment and your measurement rounds whilst you're still in the field, because it's a much better option. The output, and obviously I'll just duck into the readings here. So here's a whole lot of readings in here. It's still the same setup where you've actually got the prism name, the station name, your initial measurement, whether it's been done or not, your height, your pole heights, your instrument settings, your reflector type, and your use angle or not use the angle, yes or no option in here. So if we choose that, you've got the option there to say yes or no to that. So the output is in here is we have now the adjusted model can be seen directly within 12D field. You've got an ellipse model that's created, your scale for your error ellipse, your colour for your error ellipse. A scale factor can be put in, although the scale factor is usually applied in the area here as you're taking your measurements. You've got your scale factor here, and we apply those there. Your standard deviation, your parts per million, and your horizontal vertical accuracy. And we've also got a least squares file and a report file, and that allows you to actually output it directly from here. So I can actually, now that I've got this set up, we have I can do a review the network, and it comes up with the review the network. So I'm demo review, and add that into there. So there's the initial review of all the angles stitched together. Now you must be aware that this is just a stitch together of all your angles. So it's showing you actually any errors in measurement. So if I go zoom into some areas here, it's just a basic stitch of the different information there. And it allows you to see those. And then you can actually, if you come up with errors, it'll actually show you errors. I haven't set any here, but it shows you errors in your distance measurement and shows you errors that you may have made with your angular measurements inadvertently, or in both cases, and that allows you. Then you can actually calc the network, and the network's calced, and you can actually then go to the output, look at the XML, and if we I've got a report here that allows you to just highlight that and open that as well, so that you've got your full report running through there of all your measurement rounds with your errors and details shown. So that's an exciting new step to improve the way that guys use measurement rounds. As I said, it comes up with your different errors and so forth, and I look forward to assisting people with that in the future. Well, we've just about run out of time. I've got a couple of minutes left, but I'd like to thank you for all your attendance today, and we'll look forward to working with you again and talking to you again in the future in another presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. The recording of this webinar will be available in coming days through our website and our YouTube channel. Our next two training webinars are Tasks and Collaboration on the 5th of October and Inlet Capacity, SAG and On-Grade Locations on the 7th of November. Do keep an eye on our website for details of those, as well as our upcoming industry solutions topics. We'll also continue to keep you posted through email and social media. If you need to contact us in the meantime, we'll pop some details on the screen. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you at future webinars.